Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about a topic surrounding pre grief. And I'm addressing this because I have a very wonderful client and friend. She's also a viewer here on YouTube that sent me some questions regarding this topic. So I thought, what the heck? I'm going to dive in and talk about it. And if you're here with me live, then welcome. And I hope to see you in the chat room. Let me know that you're here. Give me a little message, and I'll be sure to check those and answer any of the questions that you have regarding death and the afterlife. Okay, and oh my gosh, I forgot my glasses, so I won't be able to read a thing in the chat room. Oh, no, here, I found them. Okay, good. Okay, so that's for later. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in to get started. Again, welcome to my show and welcome to this live episode. Okay, so you guys, if you love somebody that is on hospice and you feel them slipping away, you can sense a near death, you can feel them getting near their death door, and you know that their time is almost here, you're probably already experiencing pre grief, which simply means you're anticipating them leaving, but it's more of like a pull to your soul. You can literally feel their energy preparing to leave the physical world. And this can also occur when people are far away. They don't have to be right next to you in order for you to feel this. So, what I like to do is teach people how to use this sacred space to really tune in and learn how to communicate soul to soul. This really is sort of a gift for you because we're all going to die. But when you actually have some time leading up to somebody's passing, you can start to prepare. You can prepare right now to increase your spiritual sensitivity so that when they do pass, you've already learned how to connect with them on a different level. You know, there's a lot of things that we take for granted in the physical reality. We take for granted that our loved ones are with us, that it's easy to pick up the phone and call them, that we can just drive over to their house and have fun or spend an afternoon with them. But things change when one of our loved ones is either elderly or having health problems, and we start to miss them before they've actually departed. So, this is a really amazing time for you to do some spiritual growth and learn how to utilize your spiritual sensitivities so that you can bridge the gap. You can do this. Every human can do this. So, learning how to become more sensitive and connect with your loved one before they pass will actually help you stay more connected to them after they do die and cross over. So this will really enhance your ability to stay connected. And if you know anything about my story, you know that from my heart, that has really led me to my mediumship development was the loss of my best friend and my little sister. And I was like, that's not going to happen. I am not going to lose my connection with them. So I dove headfirst into all development for me to stay in contact with them. That was my burning desire. That was my driving force. And that's what led me to really fine tune and develop my mediumship. It was an act of love. And I know that you guys, you love your loved ones, you don't want to lose them, but it's not really about losing them. It's about learning to connect with them differently. And if we can make that shift into more of a spiritual energy, you're going to have much more peace surrounding their passing. And you'll be able to move forward in life knowing they're still around you. It's going to bring great ease to a process that's very difficult for most people. So I'm going to check the chat room. I just want to make sure. Oh, hi, Dale. Welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And Dale, if you have any questions for me while you have me live here, please let me know, okay? And if anybody else is watching here, give me a hi in the chat room. I've got it up. So I will put my glasses on so I can read your questions if you have some questions for me or concerns, whatever it is, okay? So, for those of you that don't know me, I've actually been guiding the bereaved through the grief process as a spiritual medium, and I've been doing it for over 30 years. I've also worked in the paranormal and collected massive amounts of proof of the afterlife and written books on the topic. And I've been teaching on the topic for many years, as well as developing other mediums, because there really is such a need for a refreshed approach to researching and understanding the afterlife. These are not just wishful thinking, the concept of the afterlife. If you've really dove in, like I have for decades, and gathered and collected evidence through scientific equipment and through personal experience, then you would come to the same conclusion that I have. The afterlife is real, and your loved ones, they never leave you. So when we do lose a loved one, it's the opportunity for us to really increase, like I said, our spiritual awareness, our spiritual vibration, and to learn some spiritual skills so that we can stay connected. It's a huge growth opportunity for you, and your loved ones really appreciate it. Most of your loved ones, if you're feeling the pre-grief, you may start to feel that again if they're sick, if they're elderly, but you could also feel that kind of sense of awareness that they're leaving even before. Many individuals will have near death awareness, knowing that their own time is coming. But you can also have near death awareness of somebody else's time to pass, even if they're not showing any signs, even if nothing has shown up to make you think that they're going to die. You may just have this knowing. And it's good to pay attention to that. That's a real thing. And if you get that, then that would be your clue to begin to start developing. It kind of triggers everybody in a family or friend lineage to begin to develop their skills spiritually. So that is a real thing. And the pre-grief you feel is the separation physically, and that may actually set off your own ability to feel the near death coming up. When you start to miss somebody, but they're still present and you don't know why, you may begin to feel that way. And there's no specific amount of time. You may sense it a year before they're passing, or you may sense that they're leaving your life in a different form. Sometimes that precursor could be a divorce, a breakup, or one of your loved ones is getting a job and moving across the country or to a different country. And so what you're actually sensing is a physical separation, which often occurs before a real separation or even death. So it's nice to know that that's normal and natural. And also what it can evoke in you, again, is the triggering of your spiritual development and gifts. So, okay. Dale says, thank you. Feeling insurmountable surges of anxiety, feeling like I am losing it, feeling lost in my spiritual beliefs, but never giving up. Good, Dale. I'm so happy to hear you're not giving up. And excuse me because it's a very hot, so my air just it's going to be going on and off. Dale, so some of the things you can do to help alleviate your anxiety, it's not uncommon for you to feel that way. A lot of people have fear around death and a tremendous fear and anxiety about losing somebody because most of us can't think about living without them or how to put our life together once they're gone. So we've structured everything so much in our identity and on our happiness and our love surrounding the people that we care about most. So it's really helpful to know that, your loved one is still going to exist. And right now, it doesn't matter if your loved one is near or far. Right now, you can start practicing and honing these skills so that when your loved one does pass, you'll be like, oh, I've already been doing this. I already know how to connect. And, in a really weird way, I wrote about this in my book, The Love Book. At the very end, I was writing about how COVID had us all separated, but yet we all learned how to feel connected through devices and through different means of staying in contact because we couldn't physically be together. I feel that that was a first step that was leading us towards an evolutionary process of really sensing energy even when people are not present. So if you could just take that concept and expand it another step, would be for us to realize that the passing is not a distance. It's just a different vibration, and we can learn those skills. It doesn't mean you have to be a full out medium, but just learning to tune into your own spirit will help you sense your loved one's spirit, and you will know that they are still around you. And there's a lot of different things that can occur to help you realize that. Um, I also have some advice for you. So hang on for that, because I'm going to give you some little tips that you can do. Okay. Um, most of our loved ones, after they pass, if you don't know this, they mostly all will attend their own funeral. So this would be, for many people, the first opportunity that they really have to really tune in with their loved one in spirit. But your loved ones, they will also come around for a lot of other important dates. They will usually have a greater presence, which means they'll be much easier to pick up on birth dates, their death date, anniversaries, other special occurrences in the family, such as a birth of a grandchild, a wedding, a big promotion, or a big move, anything that is high emotion that is calling for celebration, but also they're there and they're very aware when you're distraught, when you're sad, when you're going through something difficult. In fact, all your ancestors in spirit, they tend to surround you when you're going through that because they're trying to help you through it. They literally embrace you from the other side and help you get through those low points, those really difficult, challenging times in your life. They're always there to help guide and support you. So it's just for us to learn how to tune in so that we can kind of crack our belief system just enough that we can receive their guidance through a dream visit or through signs and symbols from the afterlife, heart-shaped clouds or a feather coming out of nowhere or pennies from heaven. There's so many beautiful signs and symbols that they send us to let us know that they're with us and that they're there helping us. And they do know what you're going through. So that's why I always encourage people to keep an afterlife journal. I think that that's a really helpful tool to use, because once you start to pay attention and notice all the afterlife signs, they're going to multiply, because your loved ones on the other side are like, hey, she's paying attention. Woo. And they get so excited because that's them bridging the gap and you receiving it and being available for it. So when you start to pay attention to the signs and symbols they send you, they're going to send you a lot more. So yeah, you'll have that journal filled up in no time. So at the time, the pre-grief time is like a sacred space of spiritual growth for you. Whether or not your loved one believes in the afterlife, whether or not they know they're dying, this is your time to kind of come up in vibration. Now, when you are feeling their absence starting to come, like I said, it is an invitation to open your spiritual senses. And I'm going to give you some practical tips. This is your opportunity to practice tuning in to their subtle energy. And I've talked about this before too. If you rub your hands together like this and you just make a little ball, or you feel the space between your hands, that is subtle energy, okay? And it is a little bit warm, it has substance, it's tingly. That is exactly how spirit feels when they come close to you, because we have an aura surrounding our body, and when spirit approaches, we can feel them quite a distance outside of us. We can feel when they enter the room, we can feel them when they draw close. But to practice it, you could do that with your hands and begin to feel this. This will help sensitize you to the subtle energy that spirit has. Something else that you can do before your loved one even passes, while you're preparing yourself, you can sit quietly by their side and place your hand over your heart And then just ask gently to feel their presence. And all this is about is you tuning in to what your loved one's energy feels like. And for this, you don't have to touch them. In fact, you don't even have to be by their side. If you are, it's helpful, but you don't have to be at all. You can be somewhere else completely. If you are at a distance, just close your eyes, take a couple nice deep breaths, and then ask them, not with your mind, but with your soul. Let them know that you want to feel them and that you want to stay in contact with them. And at this time, if you're tuning in with your energy, you may feel some sensations or some tingling, just like we did with this exercise. You may actually just feel that very organically in your body or in your energy field because you've decided to tune in and everything's going to be more alert for you. So that is something that you can do. You may also feel an emotional wave when you do this. You may have some gentle thoughts or memories that just suddenly pop in. So let's say you're doing this and you're at a distance. We'll use the distance for an example. Let's say you're in a whole entirely different state and your loved one is on hospice, they're passing away, there's no contact. That's okay because this physical body, it's not real anyways. It's just something we borrow. We're always connected to our loved ones in spirit on earth and after and before and for all time. So what I want you to do is just take a couple nice deep breaths, close your eyes, just relax. It's nothing you have to force. You more or less relax into it and just feel their energy. And if you would like to, you can actually produce your own memories. You can use that as a focal point. If you have a specific memory with your loved one that you'd like to build energy around, you can actually bring it up and just hold that space and keep going over the happy memory. Make sure it's a happy one because that'll raise your vibration. Continue to go over the happy one over and over, and you're going to start feeling sensations. You will start to feel your heart expand. You will feel a sense of recognition. When you're tuning in with somebody very consciously like this in a spiritual way, they feel you. You don't have to be anywhere near them, and they can feel your concentrated energy pouring into them. So I love this too, because if you'd like to send your loved one some extra comfort as they're on hospice and as they're nearing their death door, preparing to pass, you can actually do the same exact technique and just send them so much love and concentrate on them, feel their energy, lean into this spiritual sensation that you're having, and just send them love. And they will receive it. They will feel it. It will help them be more at ease when they pass. So that's a beautiful, beautiful way to help somebody find more comfort before they transition. Okay, Dale. I had a white feather coming out of nowhere when I was leaving my eye doctor's office, and prior to that, maybe a couple of weeks, had asked for signs. Well, there you go. That's beautiful. I love that for you. Absolutely. And I always say, like, white feathers, for me, they're either directly from loved ones or your angels. My little sister gives me white feathers. And even when I'm not paying attention, a white feather will find its way to me in the most unusual ways. And that is always her specifically. So that is wonderful. Dale says, I saved the feather in between the pages of the spiritual book. Good. Excellent. Now, what will be really interesting is after your loved one passes, if you continue to get the white feathers. So before one of my grandmothers passed, she was literally in hospice. So this is appropriate. So she was in hospice. I was talking to one of my sisters on the phone, and a hummingbird came like right here and just hovered in front of my face while we were talking about grandma's impending death, about her passing. And the hummingbird just stayed there. And I was like, I can't believe it's still here. I can't believe it's just hovering right in front of me. And then finally it left. And after my grandmother passed, the hummingbird continued to come around me and still does to this day. So, talk about pre grief. This is a pre after death sign. So, the hummingbird let me know, hey, your grandmother's going to be sending you hummingbirds, and I'm letting you know that right now so that you can begin looking for them immediately after she passes. So that's my intuition with you, Dale. I feel that the white feather is a precursor to how your loved one is going to continue to connect with you. I do believe you will continue to get white feathers, and that this was a precursor, an early sign that you will have many, many more. So see, let me know if that works for you, okay? Because I really feel that in my heart. I feel like it's a pre afterlife sign for you. Lydia just joined us. Hello. Well, very nice to see you, Lydia. Thank you for coming in. Let me know if you have any questions. We're talking about pre grief and feeling a loved one's absence before they've even passed. Okay. All right. Um, Okay, so you can use that same method that we are talking about, just tuning in with your heart and talking soul to soul. You can use that at a distance. You can use it even if they're unconscious. I have communicated with many people in comas and different states of unconsciousness, and death, of course, because I'm a medium, but you can do that too. The whole point is we all can develop these skills because they're divine and we're divine. So, yeah, if even if your loved one is not actively aware of what is occurring, they will intuitively sense all the love that you're sending them, and they will sense your desire to stay connected. And trust me, they want to stay connected with you too. So you'll be formulating a bridge in the spirit world that will continue. So the earlier that you can set that up, the more ease you will have in their transition, and the more easy to access uh, you'll have. Okay. Soul to soul communication is the purest form of communication, and it's something you can continue after they cross over. So, after they transition, this practice will help you recognize their spirit's signature energy, that familiar, loving presence, so you can keep the bond alive. Now, I want to talk about that for a minute, the signature energy. Each and every one of you has a signature energy, just like fingerprints. Okay. And that means that you can sense somebody's energy when they're physically with you. If they're talking to you, if they walk into the room, you can feel them. You can almost just know who entered the room without even turning to look. That is a signature energy. And that is also going to exist for your loved one after they pass, because the physical body is not what produces the signature energy, it's their spirit. So once their body is no longer available, when they enter the room and when they come close to you, you will still sense and feel their signature energy in the same way. Okay, Lydia says, oh, Lydia, I don't think I knew that about you. So Lydia says, I was a hospice nurse. Almost all of my patients saw loved ones already in spirit weeks before their death. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, we should talk. So I did hospice volunteer work for a couple of years because I wanted to work with the dying and just help them. And many times they couldn't communicate because of whatever state that they were in. And I would just use my gifts to communicate with them and also see who was around them spiritually. And it is really beautiful. And Lydia, thank you for doing that work. Um, yeah, I think it's really beautiful, especially you caregivers that are out there doing that full time. It's just such a beautiful thing to hold space for somebody in transition and to be a gentle, kind soul for them as they leave this world. So, how beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, okay. Um, okay, a couple little reminders I have for you. Your loved ones do not disappear. They remain around you, watching over you, guiding you, and you can build that connection. You can start building it now. You don't have to wait until they die in order to have it. In fact, I've kind of been building that bond with my daughter throughout our entire life together. I've built it with one of my sisters, some of my friends, some very, very heart centered friends I have that bond with. We don't have to be anywhere near each other and we can communicate soul to soul. So it's like you just develop this sense of feeling them, sensing them, knowing what they're going through. And it doesn't, you don't even have to get on the phone and call to find out. You can just immediately send them just a big wave of love to help and assist them for whatever they're going through. And that will really help elevate them on the other side. So you don't even have to know. Of course, we're human, so we usually want to get involved and be like, what's going on? Oh my gosh, I can't get you out of my mind. Do you need help or whatever? But often if I interpret this and I receive that kind of energy, I immediately am just sending love immediately to help shift whatever situation they're going through. So, oh, Lydia, thank you so much. That's so sweet. She says, I can imagine how amazing it had to be to have you as a volunteer. One of the things that I did love, I felt called to do that, but I also felt that as soon as my clients passed, I felt that it was some sort of soul contract. So I would then, go to church, any church, and light a candle for them and say some prayers. And at that time, I would connect with their soul and just make sure that they crossed over. Um, so I would try to prepare them ahead of time by just sending them love. And sometimes that just came in the form of brushing their hair, rubbing their feet, or talking to them, connecting with them. Sometimes I would have to let them know that it was okay to go or reassure them that I saw their loved ones around, different things like that. But I did feel that afterwards, I felt like if I was connected to somebody in this way, that because of my gifts, I felt like, well, I'm here and this person has been assigned to me. So I just always make sure that their soul was crossed over. And some people didn't have a smooth transition. Some people had a lot more unhealed issues at the end, and that actually made their death more challenging and painful, and also on the other side, they resisted that help and healing when they were living, and oftentimes they would have that on the other side. So those are the ones that I would always find that needed actual assistance to help cross over. So I'm sure you probably sensed a lot of that yourself, Lydia. um, okay. And Dale says, I'm struggling with anxiety, being so attached to the physical world. And as much as I've always believed, thinking of my loved ones as spirit hasn't been as comforting as it was, not thinking clear. Oh, that's okay. Um, Dale, please be gentle with yourself. We understand things in a certain way, but we all run it through our own filter. So I want you to think about what brings you the most comfort. Um, you don't have to dive in and know everything about the spirit world for the afterlife to provide comfort. Just know that your loved one does still exist in whatever form that resonates with you. The consciousness, the soul, the connection, all of that is still in place. It's just their physical body aging or releasing through disease that they're leaving, but they're never truly leaving you. So yes, it is an area that creates devastation, and that's what urges us to grow and even puts the desire in our heart to want to connect. So hopefully this will lead you there and lead you into this discovery or an opening towards understanding more about the spirit world, and you will find something within that that does bring you more peace. And I have a feeling it's going to be all the signs you're getting, whether it's a lot of feathers or it's a whole variety of different signs and symbols. I really feel like you're creating almost an urgency to have a rush of signs and symbols to comfort you and to also validate for you that your loved one exists. So be sure you stay open to that. Really pay attention to the signs and symbols starting now and also after. Okay. I always thought our loved ones are the same as they are here, but in my reading different books, I've become confused. That's okay. And Dale, we had talked about this before too. I see them basically in their spirit body initially. And then over time, I still perceive them that way, and they can still appear that way for our sake. But truly, they're just all and everywhere. So whatever way makes you feel more peaceful in how you relate to them and connect with them, that there's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong at all. I mean, if you want to take that a step further, supposedly we're just all pixels too. We think we're physical, but we're not. So if you want to get to the quantum level, we should be able to put our finger right through our hand. But because of, a lot of different laws of the universe, we appear very physical. So don't let like semantics start to bring anxiety to you. Lean into whatever way feels right for you and allow that to bring the comfort to you instead of trying to figure out everything, because even the greatest minds in the world, the way that we understand it is always evolving. We're always learning new depths to the same situations. So don't worry about that, honey. Just stay focused on the afterlife, the pre afterlife signs, and then after your loved one passes, immediately look for more afterlife signs and let them know you're open for the dream visits, the physical visits, like the spirit visits, all forms. If you are, let them know, all forms. And make sure you stay in a space of receiving, receptivity, meditation, spending time alone. And it's okay to grieve and stay in your bed and cry. Sometimes you get signs there, but it's often when we move out into the world that strange things occur around us and let us know that we're not alone. Even in our greatest sorrow, when we really feel alone, we get the signs and symbols that are so extraordinary that let us know we are not alone. And I really feel like that's going to be some of the things that help you through this. Okay. Right. So Lydia says, I think you have to really pay attention. Sometimes the messages are subtle. Absolutely. And sometimes not so subtle. I mean, like, I think I've told you guys before, I have some loved ones on the other side that are like really radical. They've got a lot of energy. But most of the time, and that's why they select to do signs and symbols, because it takes less energy. So signs and symbols can be something so simple as like a strange bird or a specific bird appearing over and over, any kind of strange animal or a strange sound, or sometimes you're just sitting outside and it's completely calm and peaceful. And as soon as you start to think about them, a big wind will pick up and it just feels very alive, like the wind feels a certain way. It could be subtle like that, or it could actually be like we were talking about before, the subtle energy presence of like this feeling energy. It could be like that on your arm or your static electricity in your hair. So big or small, write down all of your afterlife signs, and that's the surest way that you will get more. You're welcome, sweetie. Okay, and Dale says, I find it hard to express myself, but I guess when I'm missing my mother, I remember her as she was on earth. Yeah. And thinking of her in terms of being omnipresent and a soul really has disconnected me. Oh, yeah. Then don't even think about it that way. You can think about her exactly as she was for you, because that's where all your memories are stored. It's absolutely okay. You don't have, like I said, you don't have to be a scholar. You don't have to read a bunch of books. Um, and also use discernment for you. You know, if you are reading a lot of books, lean towards the ones that are actually speaking your language. In other words, if it feels what you want to believe, if it feels right for you, it may be different than many other people's perspective. That's okay too. Your unique experience is yours. So if you want to always think of your mother that way, that's beautiful. And I'm sure she will always appear for you that way or come through in dreams that way for you as well. And not to mention, be there to greet you when you eventually pass. She will look just like that, your vision of her. That's exactly how she'll show up. So you're not wrong at all. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I think that's mostly it, you guys. Grieving early might feel painful, but it can gently prepare your heart to recognize their spiritual presence later. Instead of only missing them physically, you'll learn to feel them in your energy field, see them in your dreams, and experience them in your daily life. So remember that love never dies, and neither does the bond you share. You're never, ever, ever alone on this journey. And if you would like gentle guidance on how to do any of these things or how to heal your grief when you are going through loss, be sure you check out my Grief Ease app. I have 9 spiritual lessons that include afterlife meditations, meditations to help release the shock and trauma from loss. But the spiritual lessons also include assignments that have you move through different things that I've learned as a medium are very essential to you actually fully healing your grief. So do check out my Grief Ease app. It's amazing. The users have been really loving it. There's also a Healing Hearts community within the app where you can share your progress and a tracker so that you can like stay, notice how you're doing from day to day and kind of track your progress. Like if you're feeling good one day and then you're feeling down another day, you can actually look back and go, oh, you know what? Yesterday I felt really good, but that's because I was doing this lesson or because I listened to the afterlife meditation and that made me feel more connected, and then you can duplicate it the next day if your mood is down or if you're really just having a harder time. So yeah, be sure you check out the Grief Ease app, or you can always set up a private session with me at www.dianapalm.com. Okay, so let's see. Okay, Lydia says, oh, Dale says, do you need a smartphone to use the app? Yes. You know what, Dale? It is. My app is all on smartphone, so both for Google and Apple. However, I used to have a version of that same app that was in my spiritual academy. And I've been thinking about maybe adding it back to my spiritual academy so that people that don't have smartphones will still have access to it. So I have your email. Let me just see if I can do that without too much trouble. If I have all the pieces, I may be able to put that in, and then that would be you'd be able to access that through any computer then. So I think that might be a good idea. I'll let you know, okay? All right. You guys, thank you for joining us. And if anybody else came into our session today and you were not in the chat room, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that I brought some comfort to your heart. I hope I gave you some tools that you could use as you're nearing the loss of a loved one. And mostly, I just think it's wonderful that we can get together and share these ideas and talk about the afterlife and talk about death and all these topics that seem to be not easy to access. Everyone's not walking around wanting to talk about it, but you can always come here and talk to me about it. All right, you guys. Yes, Dale. Oh, thank you. She says, thank you, Diana. You're an angel and so helpful. Thank you. I appreciate you. And Lydia, I saw you thanking me too, sweetheart. And you guys are so kind to each other. You're also thanking each other. I just love you guys. All right, you guys. I think that's it. That's, thank you for joining in the conversation, and hopefully I'll see you next Wednesday. All right. Bye bye.